Hello everybody, my name is Shawn. I'm a 20-year smoker no more and been using electronic cigarettes since about 2009. Pretty happy camper there. And I'm here to talk to you about the eGo-C model. eGo-C model is of course by Joyetech. This is the improved version of the eGo-T, which eGo-T standard for the tank system. And just if you're not familiar with the Joyetech products, they came out with the 510. It was a great system. Some people wanted a little bit more battery life. They then made the eGo system, which was the 510 atomizer with a very large battery on there. And then, of course, they decided to come out with the tank systems. So they used that same eGo battery, and they used a tank cartridge. So the tank cartridge allowed for a lot more liquid to be stored in there. With the eGo-T, what was difficulty was the atomizer was built within the cone, and some of the users complained that it was difficult to clean the atomizers, which was not an issue with your regular systems like the 510. So the eGo-C, they called it Changeable. That's what the C stands for. And with that, you can remove the atomizer, and they call it an atomizer head, from the atomizer cone. And let's open up the box and go through what's included in this particular package so that you know. I'm going to open it on up there, and we have the manual. And then you will, of course, notice two assembled electronic cigarettes. They don't have the cartridges on there. These are, of course, your batteries. This particular system that we're looking at is a eGo-C with twist batteries. I'll get into that there in a minute. You have the atomizer cones, and then you have the atomizer heads that are actually to be inserted within there. This is a new kit, so it doesn't actually have that. So I'm going to remove these two. Now on this one, we're looking at 900 series. And let me break away very quickly before I show you the rest of the stuff that is in there. And I will show you some of the differences. So here you have a 650 eGo battery. Then you have a 900 eGo battery. Then you have a 1000 eGo battery. As you see, each one gets progressively bigger. It all stands for MAH, and that is, of course, energy storage. So obviously, a 1000 has quite a bit more than a 650. If you want to be exact, it's 350 more. So it's what, about 50% more. So there you have the sizes between those three. And then I'll show you as a comparison. Here you have a 900 eGo battery, eGo series. They're commonly changing them as far as they'll have a T stamping, then a C stamping. We have the new upgrades, all of the other good stuff there. But the big game changer was what was called the twist. Now this is a 900 twist, and as you can see, that is already bigger than the regular 900. So be aware of this when you're ordering these products, that it gets larger and larger and larger and become more cigar-like. So there you have a 900, and I'll show you the 1000. You thought the 1000 was big? Well, let's bring in the 1000 twist. As a side note, very quickly, what is a twist? The very bottom here, you can twist this, and you can change the voltage. So you start off there in your 3 voltage range, and you can kick it all the way on up. This is useful because more voltage will usually result in better vapor, more throat sensation. Be aware, though, it can give a lesser life of your atomizer. So the higher that you actually run it, the lesser that your atomizer is going to run. So don't be surprised if that normal 4 to 6 weeks of atomizer lasts, if now you're looking at a little bit less. But if you're getting that good vapor and that good throat sensation, then I guess it's all good, right? That's what we're all after. And when you really look at the price of what we were paying for tobacco cigarettes versus some of the replacement parts for this, it's just apples and oranges as far as that cost goes. So let's get back to the kit now. I kind of explained that as far as your different batteries go. You have these two that I showed you. Now I'll peel this off. You've got 5 tank cartridges there. You have your USB charger, so the battery just screws in there. It's very easy the way it's done. You screw it on in like I'm showing you right now. This will blink a few times, and then it'll start charging. This will be red while it's charging, changes green once it's charged. What's great with these, this is lithium ion, folks, so this is not that old NiCad system where you have to be worried, oh, I got to wait until it gets all the way charged down, and then I got to recharge it completely fully. Lithium ion, same thing as your iPhone. You can charge it for 10 minutes. You can charge it all the way on up. A little hidden known fact a lot of people don't know with lithium ion, that first 80% of the charge is very quick. it's that last 20% that takes quite a while. So even though these charge pretty quickly as it is, just remember that that 80% you're going to get very quickly, and it's red and then it goes green. Once it goes green, you can leave it on the charger. It's not going to charge it anymore. You're not going to harm the battery. So that's another good side note that you have with that. All right, so what else do we have? Remember, I was talking about the atomizer heads. Here you have 5 atomizer heads with the eGo-C. That's really nice. These are what's called Type A. This is the standard ones. We're already seeing the LR, low resistance as it's called. If you don't understand that, search through some of my other videos. You'll find out what LR is. There's also the Type B that are offered on these, and that's kind of like the Mega then. It allows for more e-liquid that's actually in the cartridge, and it's a little bit bigger of a housing. So there you have that. You have these 5 cartridges that you're looking at, and then of course you have the wall charger. The wall charger is simply just a USB insert, goes into the wall, so you can charge your batteries in any USB port in your vehicle, if you have a newer vehicle, in your computer, or of course you just plug this on in, plug it on into a wall, and you're good to go. So it's pretty easy. The actual insert of the atomizer head goes right on in there. You'll stick it right in there, and then from on this, I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. This unscrews here. So you seat the atomizer head there, and then you stick it on in. It takes a little bit of time, and I got big hands. I'm not going to show you right there. That might be a little bit difficult, and it could turn into a funny YouTube there. So, all right, and then that goes on to there. And then, of course, you'll take any one of these cartridges, and you'll put it on. I do want to take a moment here. Sorry, I'm not prepared. That didn't work out too well. When you put a cartridge into one of these eGo-Cs, even an eGo-T, folks, when you put it in there, the directions will tell you you'll be gentle with it. Not true. You want to take that cartridge and you want to put it between your hands like I'm doing right now and push until you literally hear a click. When you hear the click noise, you know it's seated properly. It's very common on these systems that people don't push the cartridge in enough, and it needs to be flush there. That what happens is they'll start using it, and they're like, oh, I'm not getting a great vapor. I'm not getting a great throat sensation. What's happening is it's not completely seated. And what will happen in just a few hours, you'll burn out an atomizer, and that's not good. So this is the eGo-C. It's not surprising how good of a model that it is. The eGo-T was great. The eGo systems are great. If you're looking at an eGo-C system, go for it. They do work very, very well. Pros and cons. I always like to throw pros and cons in there. The eGo tank systems versus the non-tank systems. It's one of those things where what we found with your 510 systems, your eGo systems, you got to top them off often. It's not hard to do. The cartridges, when you're actually looking at a regular eGo or 510 system, it's similar to what I'm showing you right now, where it's a polyfill. You'll drip the e-liquid in here. It pops on and off very, very quickly. But what we found as users is you want to keep that cartridge very full. You want to use it for about the length of a cigarette or two, and then top it off, as it's called, and then you'll fill it on up there. Why? Because the farther the liquid gets away from the atomizer, the harder the atomizer has to work. It's one of those things where you can burn out an atomizer, so that's a little bit of difficulty. So a little bit of maintenance there on the 510 and the eGo systems. In comes the tank cartridges. That's a non-issue, right? You just fill up that tank. The regular ones take 2.5 milliliters of liquid. That's easily half of a day for most of us users. You can go with the Megas if you have a little bit more there. With this, though, like I was actually talking to you, you have the atomizer heads. You'll notice with that atomizer head there, it's a very small cylinder. Well, there's only so much e-liquid that can travel through there so quickly. And when you actually have that, I've noticed personally, on a personal level, I'm pulling a little bit harder and I'm struggling a little bit more to get that really ultimate throat sensation. So that's a little bit of a con, where, in my personal opinion, on the tank systems in general, not just the eGo-C, and it is something to be aware. So if you do have a tank system, you just don't think that you're getting that overall great vapor sensation, then you might want to be looking at a regular open atomizer systems, as it's called. So that's the eGo-C, folks, and I'm pretty impressed on a personal level that I've gotten this far, because when you saw me pull off that plastic, it's been stuck in my mouth ever since. So hopefully I can get it out of my mouth right now. I'll talk to you later.